right back at you. It's the Kid 50 Cent.
This is your boy Weezy F, baby.
Yo, what it does, this your homie Rick Ross.
This is your boy Gucci Man LaFleur.
You're in the mix with.
This is the K.L.P. Aftermath.
Right here, so keep it locked.
It's the K.L.P. Aftermath.
You're locked into the man. Check this out.
Here we go.
It's time. You're live and in the mix with ATL Zone.
K.L.P. Kennedy Lucas.
Yo, what's going on? This is Drizzy Drake.
Hi, this is Rihanna.
Hey, what's up? This is Ludacris.
What's up, y'all? This is Nicki Minaj.
You're rocking with the best. It's the #1 station blazing the airwaves.
Right here, so keep it locked.
What's up, y'all? This is Beyonce, and you listening to my station.
Powered by the Core 94.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another exciting podcast here today. We are, of course, K.L.P. Aftermath. I'm your host, K.L.P. Kennedy Lucas. We've got Tyrus in the building here streaming on Atlanta's #1 radio stations. And let me tell you, we are Atlanta's #1 radio station, Swanky 93.3 and Emory 94.6. Hopefully you guys are ready for another exciting podcast because we do have quite a few things to talk about. Shout out to T. He's in the studio, make sure that we sound really, really good. And we've been podcasting for quite a long time. And I'm happy that we're getting newer equipment and we're getting better audio quality when it comes to the podcast. And I just wanted to say that to you real quick because when I was doing the podcast this week and listening to the episodes this week, the audio has been really, really good. Like really, really good. Like Joe Budden podcast kind of status. And their show's pretty good too. Shout out to them over there in New Jersey. But finally, we're getting back to the audio quality style of the podcast. T, we have so much going on. If you guys missed it, a little housekeeping before we get to the topics of conversations here today on the podcast. We worked on a lot of great things, but today is a special day because if you guys don't follow my personal Instagram, it's Kennedy Lucas KLP, KLP Entertainment's Instagram, and Emory Radio 1. We did post today. We have so many things coming out for Amazon Prime. Believe it or not, we've got one movie, Two Wrongs, Two is around the corner coming out for Amazon Prime. My latest documentary about New York, we're starting the post-production right now. That's scheduled to be out for Amazon Prime later on this year. And we're working on another original series. I can't tell you guys so much about this series quite yet because we're still super early, but we're starting to film this mini series, big series for this amazing production crew. Can't give any names yet. And I probably will announce it to you later on as the production is in development, but it's kind of early for me to say, so I don't want to spill the beans so much, but just know that I'm working on a new original series, meaning episodes for Amazon Prime and Tubi TV. So I'm excited. I want to thank everyone who's been following us so far within our journey because this has been a great road to be on, and to see that I've got about 3 projects coming out later on this year and the beginning of next year for Amazon Prime and Tubi TV. It is amazing. So I met with the production phone call, that is the director, and again I'll give her name out later on as we get closer to it. And we talked, and we're getting more equipment. I'm renting out more equipment from K.L.P. Entertainment Studios, and it's just going to be very, very fun. So you'll see my Instagram. I'll probably do behind the scenes footage of it as we start production of it. But I'm so stoked about that. And that's just been the highlight of today because, today you guys notice that we do a lot of animations, we do a lot of shows, podcasting, writing for Vox Times, writing for Element Magazine, but there's a whole bunch of things that goes behind the scenes of K.L.P. Entertainment, the administrative side of things, having meetings, going to other meetings, doing Zoom calls, doing phone calls, scheduling and partnerships and contracts and distribution and planning. There's so much that goes behind the scenes of the content that you guys get to see out there on our streaming services like YouTube, Twitch, Spotify videos, Spotify, Amazon Music. There's just so much that goes into our industry, so much that goes into our business. And I'm blessed and highly favored to be in the position to where I'm able to help out and do more projects, especially within this year. Now, I started in 2021, but this is the year that K.L.P. Entertainment, I can honestly say with humbleness, that we are backlogged. Yes, K.L.P. Entertainment, we are backlogged because we got so many things in the works and so many things that are popping up for us, and we just, we're backlogged. There's just so much work and so little time to get everything done. So that's what it's called. There's a production term for you guys, backlogged, or content backlog, where you just have so much content, so many things in the works right now, and there's just so much stuff going out at the same time, and some things are getting pushed back because you got this coming up. So it's a great feeling for the business, and I'm happy with everyone who's been in our business and who's been working for us and making sure that our media company, K.L.P Entertainment, strive to great heights. So enough about K.L.P Entertainment. That's just been the highlight of today's news when it comes to K.L.P Entertainment. Another news announcement real quick, and then we're going to get to the actual conversations of tonight's podcast. But of course, our spinoff show, The Hitman, will be available YouTube and Daily Motion. I kind of announced it right now. You guys are going to see snippets from our Instagram, but we're going to be premiering the first episode. We talked about The Hitman, and we were going to do a movie, but we turned it into a mini series for our channels, and some might say that we might have it for Spotify video. Our newest film, Intelligences, that's a movie that came out while we were in New York. Movie we did also, and a lot of people actually enjoyed that movie too. That's available for Spotify video. So we're trying to test the waters a little bit, when it comes to the Spotify video kind of thing, because they're very strict when that kind of stuff is happening. So it's just one of those things that it's a little bit sticky, if you will. It's a little bit sticky. So stay tuned for that. Of course, April 3rd we're dropping something on April 3rd. So I don't want to get too much into it. I don't want to spill the beans so much, but just wait for April 3rd when we're dropping something music wise. So you guys are going to know about it. I'm probably going to tweet about it tomorrow, but you guys are going to know about it. So let's get on to the K.L.P Aftermath, Atlanta's #1 podcast with yours, K.L.P Kennedy Lucas. Hopefully you guys have been enjoying this week's episodes. We talked about so much. We're not going to relay too much about it. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, I will not be talking about Will Smith and Chris Rock. That's been a topic of conversation with radio stations all over today, yesterday, the other day, Sunday. I'm just kind of tired of it at this point. I know a lot of news people, a lot of donors, a lot of news people, a lot of people that runs their news station, they are running that story to the ground. I'm just not going to be that guy to talk about it on our show. I'm done. I talked about it on Monday's episode. I've said what I need to say. I'm not going to say too much about it on the podcast, because I'm not that guy that I'm going to harp it up and talk about it so much, because it's not worthy to talk about it. I've talked about it. We all know what's going on. And there's so many things that's coming out for these articles, and people are spinning it off. And this is going to be the topic of conversation for the next week. And I'm just kind of like, okay, Jan, I'm tired of it now. It happened. Like, let's move on. So I'm not going to talk about that, but I will talk about first topic of conversation we like to call our must-watch list. Of course, I try to find shows and movies out there that I'm watching or watched currently, and to explain it out for the K.L.P Aftermath. And this week's episode of Must Watch goes out to Deep Water. Now, Deep Water is a Hulu exclusive, and let me tell y'all, over the last couple of days, when I got home after the podcast, going home from the studio, I'm watching little snippets of this movie. Now, T, I text you this movie, and let me tell you, Tyrus Lester, here, our producer for the show, he loves the movie. He's a big Ben Affleck fan, right? As he chuckles a little bit, he's a Ben Affleck fan. I'm a Ben Affleck fan. I liked his more serious movies. I mean, him playing Batman, he was okay, right? I'm not gonna say that he wasn't the best Batman. The best Batman goes out to Christian Bale all the way. By the way, I still got to see Robert Patterson in The Batman. I haven't seen that movie yet. A lot of people say that movie sucks, but I'm gonna watch it, and I'm gonna do my own critique for that movie later on. But Deep Water is a Ben Affleck film that is available right now on Hulu. It's a Hulu exclusive, so Hulu produced this movie. And Ben Affleck is playing this character by the name of Victor. I forgot the character's last name, but of course he had a job where he sold drones to the government, and he became a very wealthy man. He married his wife. I think the wife was named Miranda or Melinda. I can't remember the name of the wife, but of course, Miranda, whoever the character's name out, she's stepping out on the husband, Victor, played by Ben Affleck. and he's crazy. He's a psychopath because he's a very wealthy man. He sees that his wife is stepping out on him. She's seeing these different men. She's cheating, but it's crazy because she goes back to Ben Affleck, and that's a whole little crazy love-hate kind of interest with husband and wife when it comes to that. And of course, it starts off with one of the characters. That actor is also in Euphoria. He's a pianist in this movie Deep Water, and he plays the piano, and Ben Affleck kills him in the pool, drowns him in deep water in the pool, and secrets are starting to spill out. Of course, they got the neighbors on him because the neighbor knows what Ben Affleck, Victor, has done in this movie. He knows that he's a murderer. He knows that he killed another guy that his wife was seeing before him. And of course, there was another guy named Tony, who was kind of a childhood friend. Of course, towards the end, Tony was a character that was messing around with Ben Affleck's Victor, that's the character's name, his wife, towards the end of the movie. And of course, he kills Tony in the Gorge River, hits him by a rock, by the way. It was funny how that happened. He drove, there's this one scene, Tony was walking, because he's looking for property in the location, but he was really seeing Ben Affleck's wife character in the movie Victor. And Ben Affleck comes up and say, "Hey, we were looking all over for you. Yeah, my wife found a property that you might like. Get in, let me take you to it." At that moment, you should have thought like, okay, Ben Affleck, he knows that you've been messing with his wife. Why would I get in the car with you? But he does anyway, and he drives really, really fast, really, really crazy. At that moment, like, yeah, Tony, you about to die. He about to kill you because you messing around with his wife. So it was just crazy how that happened. He hits him with the rock, kills him, and he drowns him into the lake. Of course, secret goes out towards the end because Don is another character that is the neighbor, the nosy neighbor that knows what Victor, played by Ben Affleck, knows what Victor has done. But a lot of people thought he was crazy, but he was not crazy. He saw the body floating back up from the water, and of course he races to his car to tell his wife and to call the police on Ben Affleck's character, played by Ben Affleck, Victor. Of course, Don, the neighbor, nosy neighbor's driving all crazy like because he's nervous, he's scared, he's getting chased by Ben Affleck. He crashes his car and dies, of course. So it's a great movie. I really recommend people seeing this movie because it kind of reminds you, I don't know, it just, when I saw Ben Affleck playing Victor in Deep Water, for some crazy reason, it reminded me of Gone Girl. Now, if you guys remember, Ben Affleck was in this movie called Gone Girl. I actually did go to theaters to see that movie way back in the day. I actually liked Gone Girl because it was a good movie. It was a very good movie. And for some reason, it reminded me of that. Now, trying to compete Gone Girl with Deep Water, Gone Girl is better than Deep Water, but Hulu made a good movie. I honestly think this is a good one that Hulu has made. It's like a sci-fi thriller. Have we seen this done before? Yes, we have. We've seen movies like this that has been copying the same formula, right, T? It's copying the same formula, and it kind of, some parts was kind of predictable, right? I was at the house and I was texting UT because this is the topic of conversation for today's show. I was at my house watching it, and in my living room, I was watching it, and I said, okay, that's predictable. Oh, I know what's going to happen here. Oh, I know what's going to happen there. So Hulu made a good movie. And it's not to say, y'all, that Hulu didn't make a good movie. Hulu made a good movie. But some of the scenes were kind of predictable, right? It was kind of predictable. I predict what's going to happen, or maybe it could just be because I am a film director, nominated director, may I add, T, little shameless plug there, but nominated director. So I kind of picked up on these things. I know what's going to happen for sure. So it's one of those things that it happens, is out there, and it's kind of predictable, but honestly, this is a good movie that you guys, I wouldn't sleep on. It was a good one. It's Hulu exclusive, so Hulu's trying to get into the market of HBO originals and Netflix originals. Hulu's trying to get up in that category to start making originals for their streaming services. It just makes sense. Money-wise, company-wise, it just makes really good sense. Now, coming up next is our front page news and what I like to call a new thing, of course, inspired by the Breakfast Club. Shout out to Breakfast Club over there in New York. They have what's called the Donkey of the Day. On our show, we have now, it's a new segment I like to call it, and I did it yesterday, T, and you caught on, and we talked about it, and you like how I did it. So our new Breakfast Club has it to where they have the donkey of the day up there in New York. Now, Atlanta's #1 podcast, K.L.P Aftermath, with your host K.L.P Kennedy Lucas. We have the elephant in the room. So who we giving that elephant to? Shout out to DJ MB, because he always says, who you getting that donkey to Charlotte? Who am I getting this elephant to? I'm giving it to, of course, this really horrible guy, honestly. Of course, educator arrested in eastern DeKalb County, Lithonia, for inappropriate sexual contact. Of course, an educator named Marcus Skeen in Lithonia is being charged for sexually contact by employee or agent in the first degree, according to criminal arrest warrant issued in DeKalb County. This incident allegedly happened between 11 p.m. March 18th and midnight of March 19th, according to the Georgia High School Association. Skeen is a football coach at Lithonia High School. An employee, and this is the next paragraph, an employee and agent commenced the offense of improper sexual contact by employee or agent in the first degree when the employee or agent knowing it engages in sexual explicit conduct with another person whom the employee or agent knows or should have known is a student. Now, he's going to jail, right? I no matter who you are, when you're performing sexual misconduct at a high school, you're a high school coach, right? And you're messing around with a student at Lithonia High School. You know you going to jail. Desi Banks, shout out to Desi Banks. I doubt he's listening to the show, but of course he made a little comedy skit for it for sure. He's going to jail because you're messing around with not a college student. You're messing around with a high school student. And that's a big no-no in today's society, because there's a lot of predators out there, right? There's a lot of things that's going out that, is not appropriate. It's not one of those things, of course. I question this because the news source is coming from CBS 46 News, and it's just one of those things that is just, why, bro? Like, why? It just doesn't make sense. We have to, and there's no race to this tea, but what I'm about to say, it's so true. We have to be extremely careful about who we're seeing, right? And I definitely don't relate to this, ladies and gentlemen, but I work in an institution, right? We work for Emory University, and we see a lot of students, right? I have to be at Emory. I have to be extremely careful about what I say, what I do around students. Now, of course, I'm very professional. I'm honoring the respect code here, but as a Black man who works at either a high school, for me, a Black man that works for an Ivy League institution where there's a lot of young students, you have to be extremely careful. Marcus Skeen, you probably in prison or in jail right now. You're not listening to the show, but this was a big no-no on your part. This is not worth your reputation. You will not have a educational job anymore because it's going to be on your record what we call, I think it's called, and I might be wrong about the sex offender. So you cannot be in an institution working with young kids, working with students, whether you're in high school or college. So that's completely out the way. You were a coach at this high school. You're not going to have a coaching job probably anymore. So you just ruined your reputation because you were messing around with a student, alleged. Messing around with a student. That's a big no-no. You have to be extremely careful. With me at Emory, I talk to students because obviously I work with our student workers, right, T? And you know that, but I don't be alone in the room with the student. That's a big no-no. There hasn't been a moment where I've been alone in a room with a college student. That's a big no-no because it may not look the way it looks, right? It may be where you needed to meet the student in your office. And you guys know at Emory University, I have my own office, the Emory office of Kennedy Lucas Patterson. No student comes in my office. They come in there to ask me a quick question. I say, how long will it be? Oh, you need to talk? Okay, let's go to a public place where I have witnesses because, again, I'm not a predator. But that looks wrong when you have a student in your office alone. That's a big no-no. So this is kind of resembling to the elephant of the room. He is the elephant. That's the elephant in the room for the show here. Of course, the first degree sexual misconduct. And again, he's not going to have a job anymore, y'all. So let me continue reading on this script here as I lose my place too, because I went on a tangent there. But an employee or agent commits the offense of improper sexual contact by employee and agent. I feel like I just read that. When the employee or agent is knowingly engaged sexual misconduct with another person known as a student. Okay, that's where I left. Under probation or on parole, being detained by law enforcement agency, a patient in the hospital, in a correctional facility or juvenile detention facility, or receiving psychotherapy treatment or counseling for the employee or agent. Of course, that was the statement. Well, here's a statement that the DeKalb County District has sent in the statement, and this is what they're saying. And this is quote, DeKalb County School District. In response to your inquiry, Mr. Marcus Skeen, and I probably butchered his last name wrong. Skeen is presently on paid administrative leave from his position as a special educational professional at Lithonia High School, pending the outcome of the investigation, which follows standard protocols due to the nature or of the charges. This is Mr. Skeen's second year at Lithonia High School. The district personnel continues to fully cooperate the law enforcement in the ongoing collaborative investigation by the Department of Public Safety and the DeKalb Public Police Department. This afternoon, the school's principal sent a letter home to families and staff. A copy that corresponds is attached to the email to your convenience. And that was a statement coming from DeKalb County. Marcus Skeen, man, like this is you're the elephant in the room on today's show, because this is a huge no matter what it might look like. And you know, everybody's innocent until proved guilty. So I have to go by that phrase there, that he's innocent, in quotes, he's innocent until proven guilty, because you know, he is in our culture, he's a brother, right? So I'm not gonna say, oh, he's guilty. But Marcus Skeen, this doesn't look good. This does not look good. If you messed around with a student and you got caught, and it's the storyline that you're this grown man and you have this high schooler, it looks wrong. And I hope that I hope he's innocent in this. I hope it's not what it looked like. But Marcus Skeen, bro, this is not looking good for you, buddy. The picture don't look good. So again, and this is a PSA to everybody who works in education, because honestly, with K.L.P Entertainment, my Emory office, I work in education. Now, I may not teach education as much as professors do at Emory, but I'm working in education. I work for an institution. So I say to a lot of people, if you are working in an institution, whether it is a college, whether it's high school, middle school, elementary school, be very, very careful with these students. Do not be in a room with these students alone. I absolutely don't do that when I go to the office, Emory office. I don't do that, y'all. So please, if you work in education, you're working with students, especially high school and college, because they're young, they're impressionable, they're experiencing some things, because most of them got iPhones and they're getting exposed to a lot of things in this society. You have to be careful. Now, I hope, again, Marcus Skeen, I hope you didn't do what people thinking that people are thinking that you did, because you're probably 30 something, and these high schoolers, they're looking at 16, 15. I don't go for, this is not to be personal, but I just don't go for, I'm 25 and I don't go for young cats like that. So Marcus Skeen, fortunately, buddy, you are the elephant in the room for today's show. That's who I'm giving my elephant to, T. Bro, I really hope Marcus Skeen didn't do what people were thinking that he did, because that's you guys can read it. It's the sources coming from CBS 46 News. Shout out to them. Next, y'all, let's talk about sports real quick, because you guys know, if you guys follow us on Vox News, we talked about women's basketball and March Madness. It is happening right now, and I wanted to talk a little bit about it, because you guys know I'm a huge sports guy. And a lot of people had asked me, hey, you watch sports? You watching basketball? Really? Yes, I watch basketball. I like women's basketball and I like men's basketball. I actually just bought a game, and I told T about it because he's going to come over and play with me one day. This game, NBA 2K22. I'm a huge basketball guy. I fell in love with it. It's a great sport. I'm also a wrestling guy. I'm a baseball guy. I'm a softball kind of guy. So I know about it. So I wanted to talk about it. The Final Four, of course, University of Connecticut, of course, Uconn. And that's the abbreviation for the college. For some of you who may not know, Uconn overcomes adversity again, advanced to the Final Four, and they've been a topic of conversation on Box News. We've talked about Uconn, and they've been up there. They've been hustling. They've been playing really well for the Final Four for March Madness. Of course, Uconn's players were visibly shaken Monday night when teammate Dorka, I'm probably going to butcher this last name to you. It's in the script, but I can't say it. Japez suffered a horrific injury to her left arm during the first half of the Huskies' original final win over North Carolina State. But in what has become a team hallmark this season, Connecticut shook off the adversity and beat Wolfpack, of course, 91-87. That's a close game. Honestly, that's a very, very, very close game. Now, a lot of people say, some people can say some games are not close. 91-87, that's a very, very close game. And I remember watching games, whether it's college games, basketball. I remember going to Mercer for GDN to watch a game. That was a close game. That was way back in the day. Emory basketball, there I saw some of their games, close games with them too. So I like games to be interesting. I like games to be very, very close when it comes to scoring. And 2 overturns to advance in the 14th straight Final Four, and it was also the team's 14th straight win. Now, if you know you're a good team, if you have 14 straight wins a season, don't care what team you are, if you have 14 straight wins out there, that's a good team. That's a good program. That's a good year that you're having. 14 straight wins, no losses. You know you've got to be up to the top tier. And sports right now, they're selling, T. Believe it or not, athletic college sports are selling. Like, they're making tickets like hotcakes. A lot of people are paying attention. Obviously, we're talking about it here on the show. 14 straight wins, that's mind-blowing to me. This is a quote from Coach Agino, and it's in our script, y'all. These names, I'm sorry, I'm gonna butcher these names. Arama, and this is what the coach said. I think having been through a lot of things that we've been through, knowing that we're in the middle of a game right now, I think they refocus pretty well, considering, of course, and I know about it. When you're on a team, and believe it or not, and I've preached about it to you guys a whole lot, but it's true. I play baseball. When a teammate gets injured, we get sad. We get extremely sad when a teammate gets injured, because will they be okay? And it sucks when you have a star player like Dorka Javez. When you have a star player get injured, that really resonates to the coach, because not saying that this player is good and the rest players suck. That's not what I'm saying. You have a star player to help the team, and now that your star player is out, you got to start making some adjustments. And the Uconn, they straightened up, because this was their moment. This was the moment that they needed to do when it came to the Final Four, and they prevailed really well with her being out, suffering an injury. I've seen injuries at GGC, right? Throw back to the Grizzlies, whether it's a soccer team or the softball team or even the baseball and tennis team, when they get injured and we're broadcasting and we're filming them, I have a sense of urgency. I have a sense of sadness, because like, hey, is she okay? Like, somebody need to check on her. Somebody need to check on him. Soccer player just got hurt from GGC. Let me go. I want to go check, but we're in production. We have to stay in uniform. We have to stay within our job. But when somebody gets hurt, I have that sense of urgency. Like, hey, I'm praying for you. Like, are you better? Like, how are you feeling? How bad does it hurt? So I do know Uconn had to overturn that and to really come out of their shell and say, okay, she's hurt, but we got to keep going, because this is the Final Four. And universities, I know some, when you win, you get a little bit of money, I guess, but the players they get recognition, they get a trophy, they get a plaque, and that's in their history, that's in their resume. But after that, it's just it's pretty much it. But congratulations to Uconn to advancing to the Final Four. I've been following women basketball this season, and of course, if you guys want to watch more content from us, of course, go to Vox News. Of course, Vox News is our new streaming services. You guys can scroll through Bloomberg because we're talking about sports and we're covering women's basketball right now, and I'm trying to get into the realm of things and covering more sports for the show. So that's going to wrap it up here on the show here, K.L.P Aftermath, Atlanta's #1 podcast with your K.L.P Kennedy Lucas. I hope you guys enjoyed today's show. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're following the YouTube channel, K.L.P Entertainment, on YouTube and Daily Motion. Also, if you're listening to the show audio version, and we sound pretty good, T, thank you for that. If you're listening to the audio version, please be sure to share with your friends, letting you guys know that we were live tonight, giving you guys another great show. Now, we're going to be coming back next Tuesday with our next podcast. You guys know how we do it. Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays and Sundays. We don't do podcasting because we're working on other things. We're going on set. We're producing other things. But we'll be back next Tuesday for more podcasting news for K.L.P Aftermath. That's going to wrap it up here. K.L.P Aftermath, Atlanta's #1 podcast on Atlanta's #1 stations of Emory 94.6 and Swanky 93.3. I've been your host, K.L.P Kennedy Lucas. As always, stay safe, stay swanky.